Tonight I'm going to focus on my third grader who attends Glenwood Elementary. I hope to put a face to the numbers that Ms. Miller has presented, and more importantly, the impact of our district not meeting its LRE standards. My story starts with a very bright, happy child excited to start his kindergarten at the same school as his big 5th grade brother. It was his homeschool where all the neighborhood kids went, and we even got to carpool with a friend at the street. He was just getting used to being in kindergarten when his life changed overnight. He was a different child, and over the course of 3 months, his negative behaviors increased, and many of them were similar to those impacted by autism. After a few tough months, we finally got diagnosed with PANDAS. I had never heard of this before. My son was now labeled a panda, and not the cute chubby kind. PANDAS is a pediatric autoimmune neurological disorder that developed from a strep infection. We were grateful to finally have an explanation, but by this point, our district had already labeled him too, emotionally disturbed. Within 1 year, he went from gen ed to emotionally disturbed. A horrible label for anyone, but imagine labeling a 6-year-old child that. Fast forward to 1st grade. His 1st grade teacher was really unable to follow his accommodations without extra support. Instead of being part of the class, he spent his days in the back of the classroom teaching himself the curriculum on the computer. This was an attempt to keep the behaviors in control, but as he got bored and behaviors increased, I kept asking the school to provide an aid to help out. They kept advising that his LRE was a program for ED kids at Glenwood. I did not understand how this possibly could be right. Removing my son from his friends, his homeschool, and everything he loved just didn't seem his best interest. I was not an expert in education, so I trusted them. Against my better judgment, I moved him. His homeschool that once welcomed him a year before told us he no longer fits in. Yet I knew educational best practices show that if he had the right supports in the classroom with his peers, he could thrive, but instead he was sent to a segregated program. We left our homeschool in April, almost the end of 1st grade. My son had to leave his known environment to start over at Glenwood just a month before summer. He was a trooper, and this would be hard for any student, especially one who needs stability. I was no longer a mom of gen ed's child, but a mom of special needs student who was thrown into the world of special education with a whole new lens. I met a new group of wonderful, smart, and beautiful children with warrior parents. I thought about how these children could benefit and thrive if only given the chance. How is this going to happen if they weren't among typical peers? I felt the gen ed classroom were really missing out on their contributions. Glenwood worked with me as we headed to 2nd grade. My son had a few opportunities in the gen ed setting with proper supports and accommodations. By the beginning of 3rd grade, he was finally placed in his least restrictive environment and back to full-time in gen ed. Unfortunately, my story is not unique. As Ms. Miller's numbers show, there are hundreds of families in our district that are not included in their LRE environment.